like American Jiu-Jitsu does hold water, but American Jiu-Jitsu is not what they say American Jiu-Jitsu is. Okay,
Mm.
American Jiu-Jitsu, you can only claim to say that you practice American Jiu-Jitsu in two ways. Either you are a top-notch wrestler who learned judo, right? Because we do all know, and I'm going to say this at the chagrin of all Brazilians, that BJJ stands for basically just judo. Okay? Now,
And he is pulling
now,
up his judo shirt. He is wearing a Fuji shirt that says judo on it.
I so that's what I'm going to say. That being said, okay, I am a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt because I learned Jiu-Jitsu from Brazilians. That's it. That's where when I got into this game, it was branded as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I learned the Brazilian modality, whatever they had to teach me, right? And that's where I got my black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, if I decide that to say that I have a grappling black belt, then fine. But I'm not gonna go into the whole American Jiu-Jitsu. Now, if you're a wrestler, Division One or whatever, and you learn judo, and you decide that that's American Jiu-Jitsu, I'm okay with that. All right. Or you're from a catch wrestling background from like Farmer Burns and Frank Gotch
Mm.
and all those guys, and then you learn judo also, and now you have American Jiu-Jitsu because it's basically the same thing. But if you tell me that you got your black belt from guys that, that from Brazilian guys and guys that got their belts from Brazilian guys, right? So I mean, Keenan was training with Lloyd for a very long time, right?
Mm.
That's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt because Lloyd says he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So that's that, And then you get your black belt from Andre Galval, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So your Jiu-Jitsu is not necessarily American. You're an American doing Jiu-Jitsu, yeah, for sure. And in Brazil, they don't even call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's true also. They call it Jiu-Jitsu.
Very true.
I always say this too. I never see judo players diss Japan.
No,
They show respect. They still call the moves by their Japanese names. They show
absolutely.
deference. The Mongolians can do great. They don't say we do Mongolian judo.
No,
We do
no,
judo.
that's
We
right.
represent Mongolia. I don't see that. That I don't get it.
Ah,
You understand? Like the farthest I'll ever go is say I do jujitsu, right? But when they ask me where you learned this, I was like, I learned this from Brazilians, and I'm never gonna do because you're biting the hand that fed you.
Mm.
That's where you get yo. Otherwise, you'd have never been in the position to be so disrespectful. You're in this the big conundrum, right? This is a paradox. I'm in a position to be disrespectful to people with the skills that they gave me.
very true.
Yeah.
It's a paradox. I would have chosen the higher road and be like, yo, I just do jujitsu. And I can, or let's do a documentary on catch wrestling and show you how, because there was a whole bunch of I got notes, right? I'll tell you what. 1902, Teddy Roosevelt started training judo. At that time, it wasn't called judo either. It was called jujitsu. So if you're gonna go from there, sure, talk about American jiu-jitsu. But now, did he train under anybody that has the same lineage as Teddy Roosevelt? No. So I guess if you train with Brazilians, you're a Brazilian black belt. I am sorry, and you haven't developed anything that's super innovative, that is like a mainstay. Because if you talk to me about let's say the lapel guards, the warm guards that they use. And I'm sorry, like I'm putting him on the spot. It's just that that's the only thing that I have on my mind right now, right?
I mean,
So
like
if you're talking
Flow
about like,
Grappling puts him on the spot all the time, so he's an easy target or topic. I don't want to call
yeah,
him a target, but he's
It's a
an easy
gift and a
topic.
curse.
He is
it's a gift and
like,
a curse.
but
Gift
fuck
and
it,
a curse.
he making his money with all of his instructionalists in his academy. So you can take these
Yeah,
words, make your money, feed your family. You doing all right, Keenan? And thanks for
yeah,
sending us
that's
Andres.
right. That's right. I love the kid. So if you're telling me that, you know, your biggest apportation to jiu-jitsu is the lapel guard, da 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 da, and all this stuff, right? So you have people that will not be able to pick that up. There's people that are going to get in there at 50, 60, and they're just going to do jiu-jitsu, and they're not going to pick that up. But because that is what makes his American jiu-jitsu, and these guys can't do it. So what are they? What rank did they get? Did they get their rank in American Jiu-Jitsu, or did they? Because they clearly can't do your American Jiu-Jitsu, your version. So then, what rank did they get? Is it in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it in Jiu-Jitsu? Is it in American Jiu-Jitsu? You know, so it's a touchy subject.
It's a very polarizing subject and not
It
a
is
very
very
good time,
polarizing.
like, as well. And I think, like, I was talking to like one of my video mentors, and I think his perspective is very interesting, as he thought it was just kind of immature from a journalistic perspective, is kind of
It
how he
is.
put it. Is like kind of just immature from a journalistic documentary perspective. And if you look at it like that, it kind of makes sense. But like I've always said, there's definitely and obviously a monopoly in jiu-jitsu media. I clearly work for Flow Grappling. I know how they function.
Absolutely.
They function based off the numbers. They function based off the clicks.
Mhm.
And like what I said originally when this documentary came out, it's like, this is what the people asked for. This is the racist America that just overtook the Capitol. Like, this is
Absolutely.
what you guys asked for. This is what gets Flow Grappling paid. So this is exactly what they handed to you. And you made such a good point about pointing out all of the historical context of what could potentially be American Jiu-Jitsu that were not included in the movie or the documentary. But again, you also have to take in the small scope. This is just like one small independent company that from the start was 3 people, and they're backed by all of Flow Wrestling and Flow Sports. But it was, again, 3 people for the longest time. And we've just like, in the aspects of capitalism, we've given them all their money. We let them be the
Yep.
god of jujitsu. And that's like, me and Tim produce content every fucking week. Like, and nothing has to do with any of all of the stuff people complain about. Flow Grappling, like there's Rear Naked Radio produces content. I know damn well I barely listen to it, except when Dom comes out. Like, there are alternative media platforms. We just don't pay any attention to them. And I think
Yeah.
like if you
It's true.
like, they clearly have a monopoly.
It's true. It's true.
But
I
one
mean,
thing that
I'll tell you, to end the whole jiu-jitsu, American jiu-jitsu thing, is anybody that's interested in learning, it has to be uh, Yoshiaki Yamashita, Teddy Roosevelt, and Frank Gotch. If you don't know any of those guys, then you shouldn't be talking American jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
That's the only thing.
wait, repeat those names again.
Yoshiaki Yamashita, Frank Gotch, and the president Teddy Roosevelt, who trained judo, who in a year went from white belt to brown belt.
Wow.
Real deal badass.
Yeah,
Man.
I mean
Frank Gotch is the father of
Yeah,
professional wrestling. If you think about it, he's the
you
father,
got
but people don't even. And I think a lot of catch wrestlers probably
Billy
don't even know
Riley,
him really.
Farmer Burns, Adsentel, right? If you don't know these names, then American Jiu-Jitsu should not be in your vocabulary. You know what I mean? Like it, because I love history, right? So when I get into something, I'm not only the now. To me, you know, the past has something. If you ask people who's the greatest no-gi grappler of all time, they're gonna give you a whole bunch of guys that just started training in the 90s. But the great Gama, who was a Pahwani grappler from Pakistan, had beat everybody. And we're talking about the 20s. She's
Nika, you
back. She's
there?
back.
Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah. That,
So
like,
you know.
and it's still recording, but like, if like, because I'm the host, so I'm recording it. So like, whatever
Yeah.
after the 20s is probably where it cut off.
Okay, so the Great Gama is one of the biggest, greatest no-gi grapplers of all time, having matches that lasted 40 minutes, 50 minutes, right? And having people not wanting to fight him.
Wait, where was the Great Gama? Where was
The Great Gama? He was a Pakistani, Indo-Pakistani grappler. You ever seen a picture of a guy that's holding like a mace and he got like those, you know? That's the Great Gama. right? You talk about, oh, who's the greatest gi grappler of all time, right? It's Masahiko Kimura.
Kimura.
You know what I mean? It's
He's
Masahiko Kimura.
He's on my Mount Rushmore. They named the Kimura lac after him.
Yo, to me, it's Kimura and then everyone else, right? So that's the thing, is that we're prisoners. Like, in order for us to sell a product, in order for us to feed capitalism, we're prisoners of the now. Someone will like, oh, who's the greatest grappler of all time? They'll say Buchecha. I'm like, Jesus Christ, serious? You know what I mean? Like,
that's like MMA.
Yeah.
It's like MMA for me when guys talk about, I was talking to somebody that started when I did, like 06, and they're like, oh, Conor, he's like the best. Some people say he's the best ever, or he's the best champ. I'm like, have you heard of Dan Henderson? And it was for real, like less than 15 years. And he had a way tougher road.
Yeah. Like, to me,
people don't know their history.
Yeah. To me, the three greatest MMA fighters of all time are still Anderson Silva, BJ Penn, and George St. Pierre.
Interesting.
To me, I mean, I'm not gonna judge a guy that's on decline. When he was fighting, when he broke his leg and all this stuff, he was already declining. And if you take me putting my hands behind my back and showing you my chin, and you clocking me and me getting knocked out, if that's you besting me, then go ahead, run with that. Mm-hmm. Because when I was defending, when I was on my game, you couldn't touch me. I had to give it to you. And then, yeah, sure, after that, everything unraveled. But, I mean, Anderson Silva, to me, is still the greatest I've ever seen. It's insane. I mean, he knocked out Forrest Griffin walking back with a jab.
I'll never forget being in the bar when I was way too young to be in there, but I was on a jiu-jitsu trip. Yeah. And seeing that, it just, I was just like in awe. Like, everyone just sat there just looking at each other like, what just happened?
I threw down my beer. I was like, this is impossible.
But people had to be there. Like, that's the thing. Like, things you just see, like, you have to be there to really appreciate it.
For real. Like what he did to what's the guy that was a math teacher?
Rich Franklin.
Like Ace Ventura.
Rich Franklin.
Yo, what he did to him was insane. He just clinched him up, kneed him up, and he was like, bro, but just do something. And it was, his control was so incredible that Rich Franklin could not do anything, you know? And people go, oh yeah, but he got beat by who? He only got beat like 3 times in 25 years.
Something crazy like that. Yeah.
That's insane.
And even like when he fought Israel Adesanya, like Israel Adesanya wasn't trying to go down like that with him. It was close. It was probably one of his closest fights besides the.
Right. And then you're talking about also Adesanya is a machine. It's a young cat, 6'3", walks around at 230. I mean, come on. All world type of skills. I mean, it's tough. For a 40-year-old, I mean, I know. You know, I'm 40. I'm going to be 43 in about 4 months. And I'm going to put myself out there. Blue Belt's already giving me the business. You know what I mean? I've trained. I got this brown belt that I've been training with, you know, for the best part of 10 years now. He's 30 years old, and now he's murdering me too. You know, so when we start taking those things into consideration, that, you know, I don't have the time to train as much, you know, and desire goes down. Regardless, you could be, oh, I'm a professional and whatever, but when you start looking at your life in retrospect, your desires, you still want to fight, but the desire is not the same. You still want to, now you want to live life. Like, sometimes you'll ask me, oh, you come in to train? And my girls are like, we're watching a movie. I'm like, that's your answer right there. I want to train, but I have an 8 and 9-year-old girl that wants me to watch a movie and paint my nails, and I'm going to be a princess. So that's that. You know?
Well, on that note, we talk a lot about what we don't want to see in BJJ. What are some positive things you want to see more of in 2021?
All right. So starting right now, like what we're doing right now, you know, what we're doing right now should lead to like a coalition of all brown and black people, inclusivity. I mean, more social projects. I think also that we need to start getting jujitsu transparency, which is something that's I've been mulling over, and I just found out that there's a whole bunch of other people who think the same way. And when I think about jujitsu transparency, is this right? A lot of like um, grading and ranking, it's held at the discretion of instructors, right? And as a student, I think that that's a little tricky, right? Because when you go to a college, when you go to a university, you have a curriculum and you know what you need to do in order to get to pass your classes, right? And we hold so many taboos on in martial arts that we just created for the sake of monetary gain, right? Back in the day, you would train, you gain some skills. You didn't have to be the best, but as long as you understood the skill and it was solid, you get your rank up. And this is something that we need to change in order to create a healthier environment in jiu-jitsu, because we lose a lot of people in jiu-jitsu due to this, that I'm in control of your life. So they get into jiu-jitsu to gain some control, and right away we take it from them. And a lot of people are changing those ways, which is something that I'm glad that I get to see. You know, alliance were like the spearhead of this. It was great. They're like, yo, you got to have your good lawyers and your bad lawyers. As long as they pass the bar, they're lawyers.
Mm.
So I see a lot of that, and I like that. I'm loving to see uh, a lot of female characters in jiu-jitsu. I love that women are, taking control of a lot of jiu-jitsu. When I see a Leticia Herbedo, when I see, a Nico doing everything, I'm glad. You know, I think that women need to be held at a higher standard. Also, they need to be given more responsibility because obviously they can handle it. In some instances way better than we can, right? We I'm glad I'm seeing that too. So that's a lot of the positive stuff that I'm seeing in jiu-jitsu. But I think that although the positives have nothing to do with technique, they have nothing to do with tournaments. The positives are all social. Once we get that under control, the other stuff, the technical part, the tournament part, I guess that's where we get to fight, right?
Mm. I think that's the most important part. Social part, I felt more fulfilled. I felt very fulfilled this year of jiu-jitsu, even though I trained and competed the least, just from the connections I've made and
Yeah,
just
man.
seeing, like, learning it that it's a community. And at the end of the day, like, I mean, we know your story, you just said it, but like everyone kind of starts to better themselves and find a community that makes them
Yeah,
feel
man.
fulfilled and empowered.
Yeah, like think about it. If it would have been any other type of podcast, if it wasn't you two, I'd have been like, yo, I started jujitsu just like everybody else. I had troubles. I went to a jujitsu school, and it was all that. That was it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. Oh, you want to see my scar? You want to see this? You want to see what happened? Right? Because it's us. You understand what I mean? It's us.
It's
I'm talking to
us.
family. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking to some stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's like, look, the community starts here because we're connected. Then three other people that's with me are connected to you, and that's how we grow.
Yeah.
That's how we get our thing going.
See, that's the thing that gets me, that really got me, because what I did on Favela Jiu-Jitsu last week, right after everything happened in the Capitol, was all I did was reshare this random post that I had no idea who made it, that was just like Black athletes that have made history in Jiu-Jitsu. And I got so much hate on it, like so much hate. And then like what surprised me the most was a Black athlete from a social project that said this is unnecessary. And I was like, how 2 days after a white supremacist insurrection in the
Bro,
United States. And I asked somebody before I started kirking out on people, I was like, do people in Brazil know what happened in the US? And they're like, it's been all over the news. And then I started flipping my shit. I was like, like, how could you think after that happened that it's not necessary? How could you think as a Black athlete, and not just as a Black athlete, as an Indian athlete, as an Asian athlete, as anybody,
yeah,
that you don't need to see people like you in places that are not selling drugs or being a rapper? Because me, as somebody that has multiple degrees, I have to spend a lot of time and energy to curate my feeds to find stuff from Portugal, from Angola, positive things that are not statistics of Black people being killed. Like, it is
that's right.
really hard for me to wake up and pick up my phone and not see Black people being killed. Like, I'm not sure how many shots were fired on the Capitol when that shit happened last weekend, but I'm pretty sure that more shots were fired at Breonna Taylor's house.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know
Like,
how hard it is for us to find and it's not that they don't exist, is that we don't get the exposure. We don't get the same exposure.
and
Like why we're not talking about Tim? Why we're not talking about Tim in the same breath that we talk about Gordon? Why is, oh, Gordon Ryan? Why? Right? Because it this is America. This is who we are. We try to run from it, but this is who we are. You know, Black people in the United States are second class citizens. This is who we are. According to them, to the ones who hold the reins, you know, American is who they can, you know, identify with, right? And that's why inclusivity is so important, because until we pierce that bubble and then we have control of, listen, you need to represent me too. We need representation, right? Until we get there, then it's always going to be someone else. I mean, we talk about the greatest coaches of all time, right? And I'm going to bring it back to jiu-jitsu because this is the universe that we can somewhat control, right? And you tell me, oh, well, John Danaher is amazing. I'd be like, well, Lloyd Irving, I'm just saying, right? I watched a video. I was like a white belt, and I watched a video, and I was killing purple belts with a video that I watched, right? So when we talk about, and that's what I'm talking about, like, why does it have to be that the greatest everything has to be non-Black in the United States
and the
when
funny
we
thing
built
is,
this thing?
I know at least two prominent coaches that are actually do present tense what he has been convicted for, or like, no, I'm sorry, not convicted.
Accused of and
I'm
acquitted.
so sorry. I'm gonna edit that. I'm gonna edit that one.
Let's
Yo,
flip back. Rewind
yo,
it.
I'm so I'm
Bring it
so
back.
happy
I know
that your
you
video
know,
was messing up.
but I know you know some of these people, like, especially when the thing with like De La Riva came out. I was like, Brazilians try to fuck everything. Like, if we want to just keep it real, like,
Bro,
Brazilians, like,
for real, you should know.
people that I call my brother, let's keep it 100. There's a lot of people that I call my brother. My brother is just a way to be like, yo, I don't want to, like, to me, sex would be incestuous. That's how I consider it. So I just call them bro all the time. Like, that's how I do it. Like, yo, bro. Like, and that's my way to be like, yo, there's no way you'll sleep with me. But like, and
Right.
it's just a constant reminder. So it's like when you say, oh, like, I don't know, it's a double standards, like such double standards, because there's a lot of fuckery. So it's like, I don't understand like how people could go on TLI and it's like, but that's actually like, you have children, like you children with mine. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah. No, a friend of mine, professor at City College here in New York City. He does talks, and he was talking about Black forgiveness, how it doesn't exist in the United States, right? We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and all these guys, right? Jared, no, not Kushner. What was the other one? The Wiener guy, right? They all get caught doing all this, you know, lecherous stuff, horrendous stuff, and within 2 weeks we forget about it, right? It's been what, 2 years with Bill Cosby, and we're still talking about it because nobody's gonna forgive him. Oh no, we can't forgive Bill Cosby.
Can I give you another example from sports?
Hit me.
All right. So I've been thinking this way for years. Remember Tiger Woods' scandal?
Yep.
What did Tiger Woods really do wrong? And why is it that all the people that were on his side when he was on the come up, it was like they were waiting to knock him down.
Yep.
And all he did was cheat on his wife.
That's it. Like everyone else.
Like everyone else.
He's
the highest paid athlete arguably ever, I believe.
I'm gonna tell you something. If I was LeBron James, if I was at that type of level, my wife would have to give me a hall pass every week. Okay, I mean, come on, let's be serious. I'm being serious.
Let's be real.
I'm being real.
Let's keep it real. Yeah.
All these guys do all these things, yet, be goddamn if a black man does it, right? Crucifying Kobe, right? But Stanley Kubrick is all right, and he's a pedophile, but that's all right. I'll watch Full Metal Jacket again. They put it. They take it to. I'll watch, but I ain't never gonna wear no Mamba shirt. You crazy, right? And that's how we live. This is where we at. This is where we at in America, man. Like, we don't get no forgiveness. I have to live. Like I grew up and don't get no tattoos, don't get no history, because you want a good job, right? And then I ended up working at a university, and I'm watching these kids smoking crack, talking about I'm gonna be a lawyer. I'm like, yo, I couldn't smoke a cigarette because I was already, I was lost.
No,
and
the kids actually tell me that, like, judges in DC buy crack from him.
You feel me? You understand?
They still smoking Ready Rock? Like, it's still like a thing? My boy told me he thinks 1 out of 30 people smokes crack.
I will
listen.
Crack because people are always gonna want to buy it. Was another quote from the student. So yeah, judges.
I would second that. I would second that. 1 out of 30. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So.
And they legalized it in Oregon, right? They decriminalized all drugs.
I think so.
So they gotta have a crack dispensary.
I didn't know you could
five out of 20, 5 out of 30 are on coke.
Coke, I could see. I didn't know you could be functional on crack, but then again, I only know these things from like the TV. I'm just
Yo, listen, I'm going to Oregon in a crack dispensary if that's the case. So
let me tell you something. If I open a crack dispensary in New York City, my neighborhood would be rich. We're talking about Zuckerberg rich.
Yo, listen, cherry red Beamers and rope chains. That's how we're gonna do it.
88.
Yeah. 88 too, baby.
That's right. I'm gonna get me a Saab with dubs.
No more fight to win to me. I'll be like, I'm gonna walk in the gym like, I just broke people in here.
That's right. That's right. Crazy. But yeah, man, we get no forgiveness. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that I think needs to change. But that happens with us. It's not them. We can't wait for them. We can't wait for them to change it for us. We need to change. We've been trying to work with them. Oh, let me show you how, you're messing up, right? I'm tired of that. And that's why I'm trying to be as blunt as possible right here. I don't care if somebody else be like, I saw this podcast and I'm like, yo, I'm tired. I don't got to sugarcoat it for you no more. I'm tired. Mm-hmm. You already showed your drawers to me. You was being all racist and all that, right? And now I'm going to tell you, and now you're mad at me because I said that I don't like your racist shit? You got to be kidding me.
Yep. And I think,
you know what I mean? I hit one of these prominent guys. They were like, I hope a civil war starts, right? So I
DM'd.
Yeah.
A prominent jiu-jitsu person?
A
prominent jiu-jitsu person, right? And then I hit him up and I was like, yo, do you know what it takes? You ever shot somebody in the face? You know what it is to kill a human being? No, I think you should shut the fuck up.
Did he answer you?
No, they blocked me.
Yeah, of course. These people don't answer. Yeah, we make a page. Will you drop
and then there's people who I actually respect. There's people who I actually respect, because just because you're a Republican, I mean, to me, I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I'm an American citizen that has thoughts, and some stuff I like and some other stuff I don't like, and that's that, right? So there's people who are Republicans and they're hardcore Republicans, whatever, and they talk about the insurrection, the revolution is coming, and da. And I have a respect for them as friends, and they do jujitsu too, big jujitsu people. And I tell them, yo, you realize that when you talk about a revolution, people are going to get shot, right? Because this is the thing that people keep forgetting, that it's violence.
People do. People do. Like,
people forget that it's violence. And everyone keeps on thinking that it's a beatdown. I'm allowed to shoot you, but you're not allowed to shoot me. Right? And I say this all the time. The moment you say that you're taking a stance against anything that I have said, and it's a revolution, it's on sight. I am going to shoot you in your face when I see you. Because what I think about a revolution and what I think about war is you killing me. And I like to live.
People say on site though, like it's cute, like it's just something like
yeah,
no,
on site. No,
it's not
people
cute.
think it's a joke.
Like
people think it's a joke. I'll be like, yo, don't play around. Listen, don't say stuff. Don't let your mouth write checks your ass can't cash. Don't say some dumb shit to me. Like, you could look like, for example, anybody in the jiu-jitsu world, anybody. Because I tell you straight up, I do jiu-jitsu. I'm more of a hobbyist. I'm more of a brainiac. I try to like learn jiu-jitsu and teach jiu-jitsu. But when it comes to doing jiu-jitsu, I'm a scrub, right? I'm just like, I'm the hardest dude at the playground. You put me in organized high school jiu-jitsu, I'll suck, right? But I'm about a different life. I grew up different, right? So you tell me, oh, whatever, we got beef. And I'm not saying that I'm going to do it because but I'm just talking about extremes, right? Hypothetical extremes. I'm not going to fight you. You said we got beef. I'm going to get rid of you.
That's why I don't do that whole tough guy acting.
Exactly.
Like, real life.
Exactly.
Like, you don't know what someone has on them at any time. Like, you don't know.
I'm the nicest guy on the planet. Why? Because I know I've lived a life where we've been sitting down and a friend comes and shoot my friend in the head and then be like, yo, you saw something? I'll be like, what? Where you at? You feel me? So people talk, oh, I'm this guy. No, bro, chill, man. Chill. And like, yo, there's people talking about all this anti-brown thing and then moving to Puerto Rico and shit. I don't understand that. It's wild.
That's probably the worst place you could go if you're going to say crazy shit in Puerto Rico.
I mean, when you have money and you separate yourself from the reality of Puerto Rico, it's just an island.
Yeah.
True.
They move.
You know, it's crazy. Like, when your entitlement drives you to think that you can live in a brown community above the Browns, that's some shit.
It's the world we live in.
That's some shit.
Like,
I get to live here and you don't get to mingle with me.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the thing. It's like people gotta get rid of, like, in all seriousness now, like, people gotta get rid of that idea of I can say whatever I want and there'll be no repercussions. Like, bro, when the jiu-jitsu community, you know, had that little sector that started talking all reckless about you know, racism and this and that, I was all open. I was like, yo, what's up? Talk to me. Like, what are you saying? You know what I mean? Because you can be a racist. You could be racist. And you can be whatever. But the moment you start talking about violence, then what's up? Because at some point, we're going to be somewhere. And if it's going to pop off, I want to know. Because I you know, I'm a big guy, but I can run. You know, I'm a big guy, but I can run. You know, I gotta go 4.6 on a 40.
All I can say now is like, it's going to be very interesting if and when things open back up out here.
I want to see all these things. I want to see all these people. I'm gonna be like, yo, remember when you said this? I got proof. I got all the tickets.
Yep.
Look right here. You said this to me.
That's what I was doing. Everybody that was like coming out with all this, like all lives matter, which I took as a direct attack. I was like, Black Lives Movement, like the Black Lives Matter is a movement. That is directed towards specific hate crimes, and hate crimes are a legal thing that are conducted based on the color of a person's skin or race or their ethnicity. They legally exist. So for you to say that there is no racism in jiu-jitsu or that we're like all one race, I was like, that's just ignorant. And I'm pretty sure, I think I told one Black girl that she said we're all one race, and I was like, who are you helping with that statement on this post? Like, because like to say that we're all one race is to deny that anything has to be done, like, or that we're not out here fighting for equality. I was like, but I think more people after all of this will at least feel more comfortable to have a voice, because I've had a lot of people like, oh, I don't know if I should say anything, or like this person says this and I don't know if I should speak up. And I was like, why are you scared to call out a racist? Or like, why do you feel uncomfortable, but why do you even have to ask me? Like, just the fact that you're having to ask me if it's okay, like, or that should you tolerate racism? Like, why are you asking me if you tolerate racism? Like, just call them out. And like, like I was raised on like socialist property like principles, but if you want to think about capitalism, like, you use your money. Like, why are you giving your money to racists? Why are you giving your money to people that you don't support over and over and over again? Because it's convenient for you. So you conveniently fucked us all over. Like, but that's just you. And like, so
for real,
explaining to me, because again, I don't see the racist in jiu-jitsu because I was in Brazil for 3 years and I train at TLI and I go to New York and I chill with you and Fernando, and I wake up to messages from GF Team Angola. Like, I'm not, I didn't know there was a racist until they came to my business page, and then
I've experienced
to get the hell out of my page because it was a Black Lives Matter page. Like, so I've curated my feed, and I encourage other people to do that as well.
I mean, I've experienced both racism and classism in jiu-jitsu. I've seen how certain, I'm like, I try to not say white because it's difficult for me. I would say, European Americans, or whatever, right? I've seen how non-blacks are treated in jiu-jitsu, and I've experienced it myself, right? I've experienced classism in jiu-jitsu. I'll give you a good one. One time I went to pay a fee for a year, and I took out my rubber band. Right? I'm giving this person $2,500 cash, and they're talking about, oh, you couldn't give me you don't got a card or whatever. I'm like, what's the difference? You feel me?
It's cash money.
I'm trying to do I'm giving you cash money, and you're giving me grief about, like, and I'm paying, and I don't pay monthlies. I never believed in that. I'm like, I'm here. I'm gonna be here. Like, the moment I give you $2,500, that gets me out of my ass to go train. Otherwise, I just wasted that money.
Yep.
Right. So I'm giving you all them, and then I got people talking about, oh, the card, or what? Oh, you killing me. I'm like, so I'm giving you money. I'm giving you my money, and you're telling me I'm killing you. And then a week after, I see somebody come with like $1,000, and it's all good, but he's not me. And then I've seen it. I've seen too much out of this. Like the fact that, and I understand we all got to make money and whatever. It's true, but the fact that jiu-jitsu in the United States is dominated, when we talk about the student body, is dominated by white, European descent Americans. That says something. That says something. We even put jiu-jitsu in a position where people cannot afford it. And we got to be honest that most of the wealth in America lies in white hands. We have to be honest with that. So if we don't create an affordable form of jiu-jitsu for people like me, I mean, I was lucky enough because I can't say, you know, that where I am now is like, oh, hard work. I was lucky enough to have some money to have gotten me through my first few years and then got enough skills that I was asked to teach from blue belt till brown belt. So I no longer had to pay. But that's not the reality for everyone that looks like me.
Hmm.
Very true. That's something that made me so mad when people are saying like, "Oh, once we step on like the mats, it's all the same." I was like, "Yeah, but how did
No,
we
it's not.
get to the
No,
mats?"
it's not.
I mean, maybe when you get on the mats, if you're good, but it's like, how do we all get there? Like, not everybody can
But
get
they be player hating.
there. Not everybody has a gi.
My
Not
man's.
everybody ate that day. Like, there's so much more. As like, and I gave the example to one of my friends, like my white friends, that had said like, "Oh, but there's a black girl that I train with, and I don't see any difference." And I was like, "Well, just imagine if she was going to like DC Open, leaving Southeast DC, but in her no gi gear." Which would be like all blue with cornrows dressed back, like gets pulled over and gets shot because they thought she was a gang member. Like highly likely, something I definitely
Yep.
thinking about it, especially because of me, because I'd be smoking a joint on the way to the tournament. Like I could totally get shot, be like, "You look like a gang member." Like a white person would never think about that, but a black person leaving my house, I would think like, "Yeah, I might die on the way to like this because I'm wearing all blue with my
Yep.
hair braided back." Like
Yep. Yep.
we're not the same.
Like even when people tell me, "Oh, when we step on the mat, we're all the same," da 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 da, right? And Tim can attest to this because this happens to men because of the ego more than it happens to women, right? You've tapped that one white dude that takes it personal. That like, oh no, this can't happen. But you see him go with his buddy, and his buddy's wrecking him, and it's okay. It's you that you shouldn't be tapping him. It's happened to me thousand
It
times.
happens a lot. It happens a lot to
Yep.
people. I get messages
I'm
all
not
the
allowed to
time
tap white people.
where they say you're too strong, too aggressive, and you
Yep.
have no experience. And
Right.
it didn't happen to me because I'm blessed, but I understand it because a similar thing happened. You pay attention, you know about Muay Thai. There's this guy, Danny Bill, who's probably the best. I mean, not just for a foreigner, but arguably the greatest kickboxer ever. They didn't want to teach him anything. He had to be in the corner and learn on his own. And I get messages from people in jiu-jitsu say, I go to this gym, and let's be honest, most of the gyms are not run by people of color, black, brown, or indigenous.
That's
If
true.
you're a black person, especially any kind of athleticism, they're not going to want to teach you shit.
Yep.
I hear it all the time, and it's not just an isolated incident. And that's what I meant. I didn't mean to interrupt earlier, Nico, but there's a lot of player hating because they don't expect us to be intelligent enough to do it. Like I say this all the time, and that's why I feel like I get upset when I see these documentaries about guys, right? Or I never really talk shit. I'm not a hater, but I say this all the time. Like for me, it was hard because my mommy and daddy didn't do jujitsu. I'm the only person in my family that does any kind of fighting shit. I don't do performance enhancing drugs. And most of my career, when I was coming up, I was a full-time college student. So in order for you to be great at a sport and you don't have any of those things going for you, you have to be fucking smart. And you have
Yep.
to be fucking
Yep.
good. And you have to train really fucking hard through injuries. And on top of that, like I never really had people pay my way, which is another thing that bothers me when I hear these guys talk about they got it out the mud or they're so tough or they're homegrown or shit. Like, bro, most of you motherfuckers got sugar daddies. Like all
Yep.
these guys that are so fucking good, or like, you know, I'm not gonna name names, but you guys can read between the lines. A lot of the biggest names in this sport that get all this fucking love and they act like they did it on their own or they're balling, they had fucking sugar daddies.
Yep.
They had a grown ass man paying their way,
Yep.
still pay their fucking way, hook them up with all these fucking sponsors, don't have to do shit for themselves. They get all this media attention. The shit is handed to them, and it's way fucking easier. But Nico can attest to it. Even guys on my team, we are Americans, but America does not fuck with us. So we have to work. We have to grind. We have to hustle. We have to drive. We don't live in the fucking facility. Most of us have to pay our own way for tournaments and had to do it on our own. But these other guys have fucking sugar daddies. And the idea that you don't think we're smart enough, like we have to grind. And a lot of these guys, they don't want to get taught. They go to academies, people player hate on them. And I mean, I have guys that tell me, even in other gyms that I've trained at, like, yeah, man, like I'm 170 pounds. I got the 200 plus guys going at me, going on hard. Like they have this kind of weird fantasy, like they want to beat up the black guy.
Domination.
Like, they think they're Rocky from the fucking movies and you're Clubber Lang, like, bro. And it's a thinking man's game. That's another thing you gotta understand. Like, we're smart. Like, you have to be intelligent. You have to work hard. And I agree with you. It's a lot of player hating. It's like, oh, you're so strong, or oh, this guy did this. It's like, oh, and another thing too about this athleticism bullshit. You have to work hard to be athletic.
Yeah.
When you look on TV and you look at, I'm sorry, Nico, I don't want to go on a tangent here, but when this whole athleticism bullshit people talk about, and we watch sports and they're like, oh, just black guys are naturally athletic. Like, no, dickhead. The reason why we dominate sports is because, one, sports is one of the only meritocracies that we have in society. Rich old white men, they are racist, but they also love money. So if you're not good at fucking football, do you think they want black ass Lamar Jackson playing quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens? This is $1 million industry. It's a meritocracy. So it should show you that if thing is equal, black excellence is like reigning fucking supreme. But you have to work hard. You do not run a 4.340 just because your mommy and daddy are black.
That's right.
You have to grind. You do not become a world-class basketball player like LeBron James without being highly intelligent. Because as far as basketball IQ, he's smart. You don't become an NFL quarterback just because you can throw the ball 80 fucking yards. You don't become a world champion jiu-jitsu, especially considering, like, at least the path I had to go through or other people haven't gone through, without being really smart, being really dedicated. And sometimes it's luck and you're playing against the odds. So as far as what I want to see is, I think we do need to come together and have our own voice. And women too need to have their own voice as far as refereeing, because let's be honest, Leticia Ribeiro is probably the most qualified coach or competitor ever. Because she made Bia Mesquita, who was probably like, if sex, all like sex for sex or pound for pound, like no one's fucking with Bia Mesquita.
No, pure technique, no. Like pure.
No,
if
mentality,
we take everything away and
athleticism.
Jiu-jitsu, yeah.
So yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see more female referees. I want to see more representation. And, you know, we want to start a Patreon and shit. I mean, I'm kind of bearing the lead here, but we want to make it so people have an opportunity to support the voices that we have. But yeah, man, they don't want to teach. It's a lot of player hating. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I'm blown. Like, I didn't even know that was a struggle that y'all had. Like, because I come from the opposite spectrum. Like, I'm tiny and I'm a female. Like, so I have my blues, but like, I would never imagine, like, especially if you're big, like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, I guess you guys also have your own targets. Like, wow.
But it's all, I mean, sports is a microcosm for what goes on in our society. Yeah. Like, it's the same thing. It happens in us all the time. You talk about Keenan, you know who he got the lapel guard from?
Who, Keenan Cornelius?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know where he first saw that shit from? The kids class at Team Lloyd Irvin. He would go there.
Yeah, I believe it.
That's Jamil made it. Jamil was doing it, and Master Donnie, who is another person of color, who does not get his flowers as a great coach, because he doesn't recruit kids from Brazil and kidnap them to just train jiu-jitsu and not go to school. Right. Like, he actually raises these kids. It was Master Donnie's class that Jamil learned all his shit from, and he did lapel guard. And he was so good at it that they told him you can't do it. And guess who did it? Elvis, Elvis BJJ.
Right, exactly. Oh my God, that is so good. That is Elvis. So good.
It's a lot of Elvises in jiu-jitsu.
I'll tell you, I know about like, not what goes on at Lloyd's, but aside from my own experiences and my two eyes and watching you know, Lloyd and watching what goes on, right? And how he teaches and all that. I've had guys who have trained with Lloyd, you know, and told me there's no one better. There's no one better. It's a matter of personality. It's a matter of liking them or not liking them, and that's that. And you know, and that's how it goes. But when it comes to like, I would love, regardless of what's going on with of them liking them or not liking them or legal troubles or whatever, it doesn't take away of his jujitsu prowess. And just be like, yo, whatever it is that I think is irrelevant to the fact that Lloyd Irving is probably one of the top three greatest jiu-jitsu coaches in the United States. And you know why I gotta say top three? You know what I mean? Because then it's gonna sound biased. It's gonna be like, oh, it's a black guy talking about
All the
another
black
black
guys
guy.
said they stick together. They're gonna say the black.
Yeah,
guy.
they did. You know, they're a monolith.
Oh, you definitely know him, right? He's a black guy that just.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
him, right, Tim? You know him, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, he my cousin. He my cousin, of course. You know what I mean? Why not?
Oh God.
But yeah,
Oh,
man,
this
there's
is
a
good.
whole lot of play, Nico. It's not, you know, it's so true, Tim. It's on the
Play
pulse with that.
I didn't mean to go off and make this
No,
podcast on Nick. It was on my spirit. I've been holding it in for the last like 50 episodes. Since we started working, I've been wanting to say that shit for so long, but it's like, man, like, I mean, like, not even me to get some respect. Can my fucking teammates get some respect? Like,
yeah.
damn, like,
yeah, man.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
like I'll tell you, Nico, you know me. You've seen me. I'm not athletic at all. I'm just a big dude that likes to drink beer, eat cheeseburgers, and do jujitsu. I'm just a guy, right? I'll be like that dude from the Big Lebowski. That's, you know.
Oh yeah, I love
And
it too.
and people will say, and I'll beat them on straight technique. You know, my thing is technique. My thing is pure technique. Why? Because I'm not strong. I might be a heavyweight, but I'm not strong. I'm not
The
fast.
last time I rolled with you, I think it was like speed that really pissed me off because I was like, this motherfucker's so big. Why is he fast?
It's not that I'm fast. It's that my timing is on point. It's not that I'm fast. It's that my timing is on point. And I've been watching you roll for a long time, so I know your tendencies. You know.
Like, damn.
So, and that's the thing is, I'll beat somebody, and then they'll tell me, "Oh my God, you're so big. Oh my God, you're so strong." And I'm like, were you in this? Were you participating in the same role that I was participating?
Like, you just got like
like on my side control, I put my elbows and knees on the mat so you can move from under me.
Yeah, it's just a matter,
you know what I mean, like
Master Lloyd, of applying pressure in the right place, you know.
Yeah, so, and that's the thing, is like, yo, people don't know. I would love for a lot of our peers to be us for 6 months and see if they can if they still love jujitsu.
Big people.
Yeah.
Listen,
quit.
They quit.
They would quit.
They quit, bro.
They'll quit.
They quit. If they went through the bullshit that I had to go through when all that shit went down, they'd fucking quit. If they had to that's why I don't respect these dudes. Like, they all want an easy shot. They want a sugar daddy. They want all the media to love them. They want all these opportunities for accomplishing less. They fucking quit. They want to take steroids. They fucking quit.
Yep. I agree. I know a whole bunch of guys that be like, yo, I don't know how you do it. And they stop doing jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, why you stop? Oh, I had to work. Because I hate excuses also. I be like, oh, I had to work. I had to do this. I got a child. I'd be like, yo, my man, I have 3 kids. I got to work. And my body is shit. Don't talk to me about why you can't make it to jiu-jitsu.
You can do anything. And that's one thing I was telling to Tim before, because I was like, one thing I really think is dope about y'all is that, like, you made it down to Brazil multiple times with a kid, and then you have 3 kids, so you managed to finesse it so you only had your son too. So like, yeah, you can do anything.
Bro, listen,
three kids.
Bro, when the first time when I met you, that trip, it was in a kitchen. I was in a kitchen, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, we're gonna go down there and da da da." I was like, "Fuck it, let's go." And within 4 months, I wrangled up all the money, you know, and we went, and I took one of my kids, and I had to talk, and my wife is very supportive. I'm blessed. My wife is very supportive of anything that I do that is about personal growth. She's like, this is gonna help you grow in a totally different way. You're gonna be a totally different person when you come back. Go ahead, do you. You know what I mean? But that also, just because she said yes doesn't mean that doesn't makes it stressful on her, or make it stressful on me, right? So think about that. Like a lot of these guys, where they're unmarried, they're kids, they're like, oh, let's go, we'll do it. I'll go to Brazil, whatever, right? And then they get down there, they get the ass whooped, come back, and be like, oh, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore. This shit is hard, you know. And if they were training like we were training, I was training 4 times a day. At what? I was at 39. It's tough. All those kids. I remember when Moicano was killing me. Yeah, he was like 120 pounds, 14 years old, and I couldn't pass his guard. And I had to go home crying, be like, what the fuck? This is nuts. I'm gonna stop doing jiu-jitsu. And then the next day I would go and train again,
It's definitely humbling. And it takes a
It is. People have too many excuses. If they had to do what we had to do in order to get to where we at, and I'll tell you what, Tim has had a way more problematic experience to get where he's at, because he's been champion. He's been doing like jujitsu, the real thing. I've been doing jujitsu for personal reasons. So you know what I mean? I can only imagine having to go to the West Coast, with little sponsors, with limited money. It's tough. It's tough. A lot of the people that we know that are prominent in jiu-jitsu would have quit if they had to go through the things that the other side has to do.
That's facts, man. PABS, thanks again for coming on, man. I mean, you dropping so much knowledge, brother.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to shout out? Where we can find you?
Oh, always. Gentle Art Studio, Queens, Astoria, New York. I'll be there. If we got a little group of people, my main man Paco, my brother Kadu, who got us all on this spiritual jiu-jitsu path. You guys are always welcome. You guys are family. And yeah, and shout out to all my people, Bronx Jiu-Jitsu, Uma, Master Skya, Chop and Chops MMA. This come to New York, and we'll set up something, and we'll do some jiu-jitsu and enjoy it.
For sure. I can't wait to get back to New York as soon as, one, it's not cold because it's too cold, and then wind tunnels in New York are like a serious thing. And
yes,
Corona, because apparently like y'all out there like Orlando, just not putting it on social media.
That's great. I miss Brooklyn. I used to go to Brooklyn a lot. Good times.
Brooklyn, that's what's up.
I went to St. John's University, Jamaica, Queens, baby. Jamaica, Queens. That's how, yeah. Nico.
Yeah, man.
What are you trying to shout out, Nico?
Hi, you can follow me at Nico on Instagram, and also Favela Jiu-Jitsu. We have hoodies back on stock. It made me restock them. I was gonna let Favela Jiu-Jitsu go out of stock. So if you want any Mushmaster Favela Jiu-Jitsu hoodies, go to favelajujitsu.com.
You guys can find me at Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram or Facebook. My website, timspriggsbjj.com, is getting a facelift. It is under construction, but you guys can definitely hit me up on IG, Facebook. Don't have an OnlyFans, and we don't have a Patreon yet, but that is on the way. Guys, Thanks for listening to this episode. Thanks for always supporting us. We're almost at 100 episodes. I can't even believe it. Who would have thought? So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. This has been the BJJ Goons podcast. Peace and blessings.